Hare Krishna, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are on chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanil bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajami aham. Tadatmanam srajami aham. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So Krishna says he comes in his own original form, by his internal potency, by his own will. He comes. Then now he's saying, when does he come? He comes whenever. And where does he come? Wherever. What? There is a decline in religious practice. There's too much irreligion. And that he comes, he descends. I descend myself. He himself comes. The word Srajami is significant herein. Srajami cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. So there is no one point of time where we can say that the Lord didn't exist. That concept is very difficult for us to understand. Why? Because we have this material mind and our material experiences. And in our material experiences, everything has a beginning and everything has an expiry date. Even born, we see people born and we see people die. So how can you say always eternally existent? But that is how the spiritual life is. That is what the Lord's form is. That is what even we are the soul, right? We are spiritual soul. We are eternally existent. As the Lord is eternally existent, we are parts of him. So we are also eternally existent. Therefore, Srajami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. He does not need a material body. He doesn't need one. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of the Dwapara Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu, in one day of Brahma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations. Why? Because he's completely free to act in many ways at his will. So we are like, oh my God, I'm forced to come, I'm forced to leave this body. I'm forced to take this body. And then I'm forced to get old and I'm forced to get disease. What about Krishna? He can act anyways. And then that's the difference. He's completely active act. He says he comes millennium after millennium, but there's nobody to force him to do it. He's independent. He's independent. He has no obligation to do it. But he comes out of his will. So what is his schedule? In one day of Brahma. Now we say, what is our one day? This 24 hours. How much can we do in one day, right? Whatever we do work. Some of us say, oh, I hope I had 48 hours in one day. I have so many more things to do. Anyway, so this is our one day, means our 12 hours. This one day when it's mentioned is Brahma's 12 hours. In 12 hours of Brahma, there is 14 manus, not Brahma's night. It's one day. So in 14 manus are there. And then Krishna comes when the 7th manu is the ruler. 7th manu. So we can see that our Brahmaji, he's about middle-aged already now. Half his life is gone because Krishna just came 5,000 years ago. And in the life of one Manu, there are 71 millenniums. What is this? 71 means 71 cycles of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. There are 71 of them for each Manu. Each Manu lives for that long. We barely live for 100 years, even in this Kali Yuga, which is 432,000 years. So anyway, Manu lives for that long. And in the 28th cycle, when the 28th cycle is there, in that Dwapara Yuga, Krishna comes. So he comes only once in a day of Brahma. And Brahma, according to our calculation, lives for 1,000. Well, not lives. His 12 hours is 1,000 of Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So it's a long, long time for us. So in such a long time, Krishna just comes once. And we are very fortunate that he came only 5,000 years ago, and we are here now in this Kali Yuga. He just came in the Dwapara Yuga, which just finished. So we are fortunate to be here at this time, because we are able to hear the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, And then Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago. So he therefore appears by his own will whenever. So he comes by his will. And when does he come? Whenever there is predominance of irreligiosity and disappearance of true religion. So he comes to re-establish the religious principles. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. So whenever these rules are distorted, not being followed properly, and because of that, we become too sinful, Krishna comes. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. So religious principles. Who can make the religious principles? Only God can. No one else can manufacture religious principles. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. The first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first chapter, the first verse, Srila Vyasadeva is saying, he offers his obeisances unto the absolute truth, and who is Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who first spoke the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Lord Brahma. So Krishna, he's the original speaker of the Vedas. Who else can give knowledge except Krishna? Who else can lay down the rules of religion? We can't. We are imperfect. We are imperfect. So therefore, the principles of Dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. So what is religion? They are the instructions which are given by the Supreme Lord to us, to us, so that we can peacefully live here in this material world and give up this material world and go back to the spiritual world. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. It's like when we buy something new, we are given a manual to how to properly take care of it, how to properly use it. So the Vedas are this manual given to us, so we can live properly in this life, and at the end of life, go back home, back to Godhead. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna, he spoke the original Vedas, and he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So, this is all religious principles. These instructions are there for us to follow. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion. So Krishna, he spoke the Vedas, and he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita, and then, so he speaks the Bhagavad Gita, he speaks about Karma Kand, he speaks about the Yoga ladder, basically, Karma Kand activities, he speaks about the Gyan Yoga, he speaks about Ashtanga Yoga, he speaks about Bhakti Yoga. And then what is he saying? He's saying the highest principle of religion. What is the highest principle? Surrender unto him only and nothing more. He's saying, just surrender unto me. Just surrender unto me and I will protect you. So what we have to do is surrender unto Krishna. Now, some people say, I have to surrender to something which is inside Krishna, or I have to surrender to something which is beyond Krishna. Krishna is not saying that. He's saying, just surrender unto me. That's all we have to do, because there is no difference between Krishna's inside and outside. His form is transcendental. And what's his knowledge? This is what he's giving us here in Bhagavad Gita. He's giving us this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So the Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender unto him. And whenever such principles are disturbed by the demoniac, the Lord appears. So after some time, again, we become irreligious. That's our tendency, right? We are rebellious. That's why we are here in the material world. Then Krishna comes, he gives us the religious principles, and then we are like, why should I follow it? So after some time, it becomes, these principles are lost. Then he comes again. Then he comes. So according to time, place, and circumstance, he keeps coming. It's like naughty children and a father, you know. So whenever the children are too naughty, creating too much ruckus, the father will come, hey, what are you doing? Sorry. No, this is not the way to do it. You should do this, 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 this. And you will see, you will be happy. You will not make, you won't make these big blunders, and you will see, you will feel happier. So for some time, the children will follow what the father said. And then after some time, again, forgot, I will do whatever I want to do. Same. So from the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna, who appeared when materialism was rampant, and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. So now the purpose, because Krishna comes every time, according to time, place, and circumstance, he comes to bring back law and order. So when he came as Lord Buddha, what has happened? The society, they're using Vedas. They're saying, yes, we are very knowledgeable. We know the Vedas. But they are actually misusing the Vedas. They were misusing it for their own material satisfaction. They were for their own desire. They were saying that, yes, it's allowed by Vedas. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purposes in the Vedas, people of demoniac tendency still took to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. So what had happened was there had become too much meat eating, slaughterhouses everywhere. And what people were saying, oh yes, it's mentioned in the Vedas that you can have meat. So they were misrepresenting the principles of the Vedas. Yes, there is a principle in the Veda that people who really need to eat can eat only the lower animals, not cows, but lower animals. And that also on just a particular day of the month, and they need to perform some particular sacrifice, and these particular mantras are to be chanted, said that I'm going to kill you, but in the next life you can kill me. So there was all that. The Vedas has all this, and under this condition, okay, you really want to eat, you can eat. But what had happened was people were forgetting all the other things the Vedas are saying and just looking at, yes, the Vedas are saying you can eat meat. Right? So for that reason, Lord Buddha appeared in order to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of non-violence. So Lord Buddha, he came to teach non-violence at that time because people had become too violent, misusing the Vedas. So then, therefore, each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by scriptures. Okay, so whenever the Lord comes, whenever he takes an incarnation, they're all mentioned in the revealed scriptures, We cannot artificially think that someone is an incarnation. No, has to be referred. The Shastras have to say that. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. So he's not just limited to come and the geography map called in a country called India. No, he's the Supreme Lord. Everything, everywhere belongs to him. No one can stop him. He can appear anywhere he likes, anywhere, whenever, wherever. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. So whenever he comes at different times, or he sends his representatives, whenever he comes himself, or he sends his representatives to teach about religion, only as much can be understood by the people at that time is spoken. Only as can be understood. So the preaching at that time, the religion is spoken about at that time according to time, place, and circumstance. What is the consciousness of the people? For example, a teacher teaches PhD also, and a teacher teaches kindergarten also. But the teacher, when she is teaching to the kindergarten students, is not going to be giving them complex theses, not going to give them complex, theories to write. No, she's going to tell them, you write ABC, right? Because the teacher knows that that is the capability of the child. But if the teacher is teaching to somebody at PhD, then they're going to be talking about their thesis or whatever. She does not need to speak about ABCs because they already know it. But what's the mission? The mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. So a teacher's mission is education. Similarly, whenever Krishna, when the Supreme Lord, when he comes himself, or he sends his representatives, the mission is to lead people to God consciousness. God consciousness. Follow religion. Love God. Love God. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant, or himself in some disguised form. So, bona fide representative, someone he knows that can carry this message, can deliver this message. And then he himself or his authorized representative inform us the message. They speak the message as much as can be, to the degree of the detail as can be understood by the people who they are speaking to at that particular time, place, and circumstance. And what's the religion? To make everyone God conscious, love God. That's what it is. So there is only one religion, and that is to love God, God consciousness. Yeah, we might have different names, but the purpose is one. The purpose is one, to know God, to love God. Is that okay? We still have this. Okay, we'll just finish this paragraph. The principles of the Bhagavad Gita were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter, to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. So Arjuna, he has the capability to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. That's the reason Krishna is giving him this knowledge. And also, not only Arjuna heard the Bhagavad Gita, there were so many other people who heard the Bhagavad Gita. It's not that it was spoken in a closed room in a secret. No, everyone heard it out in a battlefield where millions of people are there. The skies are open. The demigods can also hear. Everyone can hear. So 2 + 2 = 4 is a mathematical principle that is true in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught. but they appear to be higher and lower in various circumstances. Okay, so the principles of religion are the same. They are the same. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the four orders and four statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. So each and every living entity is originally God conscious, Krishna conscious. Each of us is. It's just some of us have realized it and some of us have not yet. It's manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. Are there any comments or questions? If no, then we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening and joining. And Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Prabhupada, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.